Introduction to Sociology, French and Industrial Revolution, Origin and Emergence of Sociology. సమాజశాస్త్రం ఆవిర్భావము సమాజశాస్త్ర ఆవిర్భావానికి గల కారణాలు ఫ్రెంచ్ మరియు పారిశ్రామిక విప్లవాలు. తత్ఫలితంగా సమాజశాస్త్ర ఆవిర్భావం అనేటువంటి అంశాన్ని ఈరోజు మనం తెలుసుకుంటాం అన్నమాట. ఇందులో ఇంట్రడక్షన్ పరిచయము, ద ఫ్రెంచ్ రెవల్యూషన్, ఇండస్ట్రియల్ రెవల్యూషన్, పారిశ్రామిక విప్లవం, అదేవిధంగా ఆరిజిన్ అండ్ ఎమర్జెన్స్ ఆఫ్ సోషాలజీ అనే టాపిక్స్ని తెలుసుకున్నాం. ఇంట్రడక్షన్. Humans have been asking questions about the nature of social life as long as people have lived in societies. Throughout history, social philosophers or religious authorities have made countless observations about human behavior. But the first systematic analysis of society is found in the philosophies of early Greek philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle. For example, Aristotle was concerned with developing a system of knowledge, and he engaged in theorizing and the empirical analysis of data collected from people in Greek cities regarding their views about social life. When ruled by kings or aristocrats or when living in democracies, however, early thinkers such as Plato and Aristotle provided thoughts on what they believed society ought to be like rather than describing how society actually was. And another scholar in 14th century advanced in a number of sociological concepts that are recognized today. The roots of the sociological imagination in Europe are often seen as lying in the 18th century in the writings of philosophers such as David Hume, Adam Smith, and John Locke, Montesquieu, Rousseau, Voltaire. Modern sociological concepts and research methods did not emerge until the 19th century after the Industrial Revolution, and then largely in those European nations undergoing dramatic changes in the form of industrialization and urbanization. Sociology roots can be traced to four interrelated historical developments that gave birth to the modern world: the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment, industrialization, and urbanization. Since all these developments initially occurred in Europe, it is not surprising that sociological perspectives and ideas evolved there during the 19th century. By the end of the 19th century, sociology had taken root in North America as well as somewhat later South America, Africa, and Asia. The rise of modern natural and physical sciences, beginning in Europe in the 16th century, offered scholars a more advanced understanding of the physics world. Auguste Comte coined the term of sociology to characterize what he believed would be a new social physics, that is, the scientific study of society. Sociology is a scientific study of society. Inspired in part of the success of the physical sciences, French philosophers in the 18th century such as Voltaire, Montesquieu, and Rousseau promised that humankind could attain love and highly by applying scientific understanding to human affairs. Alignment ideas such as equality, liberty, and fundamental human rights found a home in the emerging social sciences, particularly sociology. Emile Durkheim, considered by many to be the first modern sociologist, argued that sociological understanding would create a more egalitarian, peaceful society in which individuals would be free to realize their full potential. Many of sociology founders shared the hope that a fairer and more just society would be achieved through the scientific understanding of society. Two revolutions in this period, the Industrial Revolution and the French Revolution, radically transformed Western societies. సమాజశాస్త్ర ఆవిర్భావానికి కృషి చేసినటువంటి ప్రముఖ సామాజిక శాస్త్రవేత్తల లోపల ఆగస్ట్ కోమ్ట్ ఫాదర్ ఆఫ్ ద సోషాలజీ అనుకున్నట్టయితే ఫస్ట్ మోడర్న్ సోషాలజిస్ట్ మనకి దుర్ఖైమ్ చెప్తా ఉన్నారు ఇక్కడ. అట్లాగే పారిశ్రామిక విప్లవము మరియు ఫ్రెంచ్ రెవల్యూషన్, ఫ్రెంచ్లో జరిగినటువంటి విప్లవము, ఈ రెండు కూడా మనకి ఆ సొసైటీ లోపల ఏ రకమైనటువంటి మార్పులు ఎంత త్వరగా సంభవించినాయి, వాటి వలన ఎలాంటి పరిస్థితులను ప్రజలు ఎదుర్కొన్నారు, మరి సమాజంలో ఆ రోజు ఉన్నటువంటి పరిస్థితులు, ఆ రోజు ఏర్పడ్డటువంటి కొత్త వ్యవస్థలు, వాటికి నిర్వచనాలు మరి వాటి అర్థాలు తెలుసుకోవడానికి సామాజికవేత్తలకు చాలా టైం పట్టి ఆ రకంగా ఒక కొత్త శాస్త్రం అవసరం ఏర్పడ్డది అనేటువంటిది ఆ సందర్భంగా వివిధ రకాలైనటువంటి సామాజిక శాస్త్రవేత్తలు గుర్తించడం జరిగింది. The French Revolution. French Revolution, which erupted in 1789, marked a turning point in the history of human struggle for freedom and equality. It put end to the age of the feudalism and ushered in a new order of society. On outline of this revolution, will explain to you the kind of turmoil that occurred in Europe. This revolution brought about for reaching changes in not only French society but in societies throughout Europe. Even countries in other continents such as India were influenced by the ideas generated during this revolution. Ideas like liberty, fraternity, and equality, which now form a part of the preamble to the Constitution of India, owe their origin to the French Revolution. Let us first examine some of the major aspects of this revolution. The basic picture of the French society: division into feudal estates. The French society was divided into feudal estates. The structure of the feudal French society comprised the three estates. Estates are defined as a system of stratification found in feudal European societies, whereby one section or estate is distinguished from the other in terms of status, privileges, and restrictions according to the estate. The first estate consisted of the clergy, They lived a life of the luxury and gave very little attention to religion. The second estate consisted of the nobility. There were two kinds of nobles, the nobles of the sword and the nobles of the robe. The nobles of the sword were big landlords. They were the protectors of the people in principle, but in reality they led a life of parasite, living off the hard work of the peasants. The nobles of the robe were nobles not by birth by title. They were the magistrates and judges. Among these nobles, some were very progressive and liberal, as they had moved in their position from common citizens who belonged to the third estate. The third estate comprised the rest of the society and included the peasants, the merchants, the artisans, and others. There was a vast difference between the conditions of the peasants and that of the clergy and the nobility. The peasants worked day and night but were overloaded with so many taxes that they lived a hand to mouth existence. The king, in order to maintain the goodwill of the other two estates, the clergy and the nobility, continued to exploit the poor as compared to the peasants. The condition of the middle classes, also known as the bourgeoisie, comprising the merchants, bankers, lawyers, manufacturers, etc., was much better. These classes too belonged to the third estate, but the poverty of the state, which led to price rise during 1720 to 1789, instead of adversely affecting them, helped them. They derived profit from this rise, and the fact that French had improved enormously also helped the commercial classes to great extent, but they had no social prestige as compared with the high prestige of the members of the first and the second estate. The two estates looked them down upon. The king paid very little attention to them. Thus, gaining political power became a necessity for them. The first two estates paid almost to taxes to the government. The peasantry, on the other hand, was bonded with taxes of various kinds. It paid taxes to the church, the feudal lord, taxed in the form of income tax, poll tax, and land tax to the estate. On top of it, all the prices had generally risen by about 65% during the period 1720 to 1789. The political aspects of the French society. Like in all absolute motions, the theory of the divine right of the king was followed in France too. Under the rule of the king, the ordinary people had no personal rights. They only served the king and his nobles in various capacities. There was no distinction between the income of the state and the income of the king. The economic aspects of the French society. The King of France, from Louis XIV onwards, fought costly war which ruined the country, and when Louis XIV died in 1715, France had become bankrupt. Now let us examine the intellectual development in France, which power to be the igniting force in bringing about the revolution. Intellectual development in France. France, like some other European countries during the 18th century, had entered the age of reason and rationalism. Some of major philosophers whose ideas influenced the French people were rationalists who believed that all the true things could be proved by reason. Some of these thinkers were Montesquieu, John Locke, Voltaire, and Rousseau. Montesquieu, in his book The Spirit of the Law, held that there should not be concentrate of authority, such as executive, legislative, and judicial, at one place. He believed in the theory of the separation of powers and the liberty of the individual. Locke, an Englishman, advocated that very individual has certain rights which cannot be taken by any authority. The rights were right to live, right to property, and right to personal freedom. He also believed that any ruler who took away these rights from his people should be removed from the seat of power and replaced by another ruler who is able to protect these rights. Voltaire, a French philosopher, advocated religious tolerance and freedom of speech. He also stood for the rights of individuals, for freedom of speech and expression. Rousseau wrote in his book The Social Contract that the people of the country have the right to choose their sovereign. He believed that people can develop their personalities best only under a government which is of their own choice. The major ideas of these and several other intellectuals struck the imagination of the French people. The French middle class was deeply affected by these ideas of liberty and equality. So far, you have learned about the basic picture of the French society just before the revolution. Now we will describe some of the major events that took place during the revolution. In France, there was a parliamentary body called the Estate General in which all the three estates were represented by which had met last in 1614. It was in 1777 that the King Louis XVI was forced to impose a tax on everyone, irrespective of his or her social status. The French government had become bankrupt due to the extravagance of the king as well as the help that they had given to the Americans in their war of independence. This imposition of tax led the rich nobles and the clergy to demand a meeting of the estate general, which they left was the only body which could levy tax. The estate general met on May 5th, 1789, but in this meeting, unlike the earlier practice, the representative of the third estate wanted all the seats to meet and vote as one assembly. But the first two estates did not agree to this. The refusal of the first two estates to meet with the third estate as a single body led to the formation of the National Assembly. The meeting of the National Assembly, led by the middle class leaders and some liberal minded nobles, was met with stiff resistance on 20th June 1789, when a meeting was to be held in the hall of Versailles near Paris. The members of found that it was closed and guarded by the king's men. Therefore, the National Assembly members, led by their leader Bailey, went to the next building, which was an indoor tennis court. It was her that they took an oath to draw a new constitution for France. This oath, which marks the beginning of the French Revolution, is popularly known as the Oath of the Tennis Court. On July 14th, 1789, one of the most important events of the French Revolution took place. It was the storming of the Bastille an ancient royal president that stood as an assembly of oppression. On this date, the mob of Paris, led by some middle class leaders, broke open the prison and set its inmates free. Declaration of Rights of Man by the Constitutional Assembly, comprising the members of the third estate and some liberal minded members of the other two estates, guaranteed freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom from arbitrary punishments. It abolished the special rights and privileges of the clergy and the nobility. The king was no longer to rule by divine rights, and several important social and economic changes were brought about according to this declaration. All men were born and remain equal before law. Personal liberty became a right given to all individuals. Thus, the idea of the liberty and equality put an end to the age of serfdom, deposed, and hereditary privileges found in the old feudal system. In Paris, the new Legislative Assembly 1792 was formed. France was declared a republic. Establishment of the dictator took place 1795. It lasted for 4 years till a young artillery officer from Croatia, a neighboring island, overthrew the dictatorate in 1799. He was Napoleon Bonaparte. He made himself the new dictator and provided a much sought after stable government to the people of France. Thus, the French Revolution ended with the overthrow of the dictatorate by Napoleon. You would have by new developed a raw idea of the what the French Revolution was and how significant its role has been in the history of human civilization. It changed the political structure of European society and replaced the age of feudalism by heralding the arrival of democracy. There were significant, many significant themes which arose due to the impact of this revolution, which have been the focus of interest of the early socialists. The significant themes included the transformation of property, the social disorder caused by the changes in the political structure and its impact on the economic structure. A new class of the power holders emerged, the bourgeois. In order to understand more about these themes, we need to learn the details of the Industrial Revolution. ఫ్రెంచ్ రెవల్యూషన్ మనం ఇంతవరకు చదువుకున్నాం. ప్రజలపైన విపరీతమైనటువంటి భారం మోపి పన్నులు వేసి 14వ నుంచి 16వ వరకు మరి రాజులు మంత్రులు విలాసవంతమైనటువంటి జీవితానికి అలవాటుపడి మధ్యతరగతి ప్రజలను ఏమాత్రం పట్టించుకోకుండా ఉండడం వల్ల వాళ్ళు తిరుగుబాటు చేసి ఒక కొత్త రాజ్యాంగాన్ని నిర్మించుకొని మరి అక్కడ ఉండబడేటువంటి ఫ్యూడలిజాన్ని, రాజరిక వ్యవస్థను వాళ్ళ రాజ్యంలోంచి పారదోవడం వల్ల ఆ ప్రభావము మరి యూరోపియన్ దేశాల మొత్తం పైన కూడా పడడం జరిగింది. సో అటువంటప్పుడు మరి అకస్మాత్తుగా సంభవించినటువంటి ఆ మార్పులను అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి ఒక కొత్త మెథడ్ సామాజిక శాస్త్రవేత్తలకు అవసరమైంది. కాబట్టి మరి సమాజశాస్త్రం ఆవిర్భవించింది. దానికి ఇది కూడా ఒక కారణం అని చెప్పి చెప్తా ఉన్నాం అనమాట. అట్లాగే ఇండస్ట్రియల్ రెవల్యూషన్, పారిశ్రామిక విప్లవం. ఇప్పుడు వి విల్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ రెవల్యూషన్ The Industrial Revolution began around 1760s AD in England. It brought about great changes in the social and economic life of the people, first in England. Then in the other countries of the Europe and later in other continents in Europe, especially England, the discovery of new territories, exploiting growth of the trade and commerce and the consequent growth of the towns brought about an increase in demand for goods. Earlier goods were in demand for goods produced at domestic levels. This means that that there existed a domestic system of production. With increased demand, goods were to be the produced on a large scale. During industrial revolution, new tools and techniques were invented, which could produce good on a large scale during 1760s and 1830 AD. A series of revolutions in tools and techniques and recognition of production took place and it gave rise to the factory system of production. Thus, a change in economic for feudal to capitalist system of production developed. Subsequently, there emerged a class of capitalists which controlled the new system of production. Due to this revolution, society moved from the old age of handmade goods to the new age of the machine made goods. This shift heralded the emergence of industrial revolution. One of the significant mechanical invention which led to a quicker and better method of production in various industries was the spinning jenny invented in 1767 by James Harvardis, an English weaver. In 1760s, this vast fame was so large that it could not be kept in one's home, and a special building was required. It said, thus, an account of this, it said that he was responsible for introducing the factory system. Another invention called the mule was by Samuel Crompton in 1779 in England. There were several other inventions which all contributed to the industrial growth of the European society. Impact of the Industrial Revolution on society. With the change in the economic society, several social changes followed as capitalism became more and more complex. The development of banks, insurance companies, and finance companies took place. New class of industrial workers, managers, capitalists emerged. The peasants in the new industrial society found themselves with thousands of other people like themselves winding cotton in a textile mill instead of the famous countryside. They found themselves in unhygienic living conditions. With the increase in production, population started increasing. Rise of population led to the increase in the rate of the urbanization. The industrial cities grow rapidly. In the industrial cities, socio-economic disparities were very wide. The factory workers were involved in repetitive and boring work, the result of which they could not enjoy. The Industrial Revolution, which began in England in mid 18th century and soon spread to the other countries, dramatically changed Europe's society's traditional agriculture, economics, and the small-scale productions of handcrafts in the home gave way to more efficient, profit-driven manufacturing-based industries. For instance, in 1881, in the English city of Leeds, There were about 20 factory manufacturing a variety of goods. By 1838, there were 106 woolen mills alone employing 10,000 people. Small towns, including Leeds, were transformed into bustling cities, showcasing extreming of wealth and poverty as well as opportunity and struggle in the face of rapid social changes and growing inequality. Socialists thought to gain a scientific perspective on what was happening and how it had come about. For example, German theorist Karl Marx, who had an important impact on later sociological theory, theorizing about modern societies and economic, predicted that industrialization would make life increasingly intolerable for the masses. He believed that private property ownership by the wealthy allowed for the exploitation of working people and that its elimination and revolution would bring about a utopia of equality and genuine freedom for all. Industrialization fostered the growth of cities as people streamed from rural field of urban factories in such work. By the end of the 19th century, more than 20 million people lived in English cities. The population of London alone exceeded 7 million by 1910. People rushed to cities for work because of industrial revolution. Early industrial cities were often fitted places characterized by pollution and dirt, crime, and crowded housing tenements. In Europe, early socialists lamented the passing of communal village life and its replacement by the savage and alienating urban existence. Emil Durkheim, for example, worried about the potential breakdown of stabilization beliefs and values in modern urban society. He argued that traditional communities were held together by shared culture and norms or accepted social behavior and beliefs. Modern industrial communities were threatened by anomy or a state of normalness that occurs when people lose rights of the shared rule and values that give order the meaning to their lives. In a state of anomy, individuals often feel confused and anxious because they do not know how to interact with each other and their environment. Durkheim raised the questions of what would hold society and communities together as they shifted from homogeneity and shared cultures and values to heterogeneous masses of diverse and different occupations, cultures, and norms. Though the judgment of values different, social thinkers of the time were agreed upon the epoch making impact in the industrial revolution. They also agreed upon the importance of the new working class. The history of the period from 1811 to 1850 further indicates that this class increasingly hesitated for their rights. Industrial revolution. Themes of the industrial revolution. The significant themes of the industrial revolution which concerned the early socialists were the condition of labor. A new population earning their livelihood by working in the factories arose. In the early years, this working class lived in poverty and squalor. They were socially deprived at the same time they were indisciplineable in the new industrial system. This made them a powerful social force. Socialists recognize that the poverty of this class of the workers is not natural poverty but social poverty. Thus, the working class became, during the 19th century, the subject of both moral and analytical concern. The transformation of property. The traditional emphasis on land lost its value while money or capital became important during the industrial revolution. The investments in new industrial system came to be recognized. The feudal landlords become less significant while the new capitalists gained power. Many of these new capitalists were the erstwhile landlords. Property was one of the central issues that were raised in the French Revolution too. Its influences on the social order is considerable. Property is related to economic privileges, social status, and political power. A change in the property system involves in a change in the fundamental character of society. Socialists have grappled with the questions of property and its impact on the social stratification since the day of Marx. The industrial cities, urbanism. Urbanization was a necessary corollary of the industrial revolution. Industries grow, and along with a great cluster of populations, the modern towns and cities were present in the ancient period too, such as Rome, Athens. But the new cities, such as Manchester in England, famous for its textile, were different in nature. Ancient cities were known as repositories of civilized graces and virtues, while the new cities were known as repositories of misery and inhumanity. It was these aspects of the new cities which concerned the early sociologists. Technology and the factory system. Technology and the factory system has been the subject of the countless writing of the 19th century. The impact of the technology and the factory system led to the large scale migration of the people to the cities. Women and children joined the workforce in the factories. Family relations changed. The siren of the factory seemed to rule people's life. The machine rather than man seemed to dominate work. As I mentioned earlier, the relation between the labor and the products of their labor changed. They worked for their wages. ఫ్యాక్టరీ సైరను ప్రజల యొక్క జీవిత గమనాన్ని మార్చింది అని చెప్పి ఇక్కడ మనకు చెప్తా ఉన్నారు. అయితే మరి ప్రజలు గ్రామాల నుంచి పట్టణాలకు వలస వెళ్ళి అక్కడ స్లమ్లలో నివసిస్తూ వాళ్ళు మరి చాలినటువంటి జీతాలతోని వాళ్ళ జీవనాన్ని కొనసాగించడం అనేటువంటిది మనం చూస్తూ ఉన్నాము. మరి ఆ రకంగా చాలామంది ఒకటేసారి వెళ్ళేసరికి చిన్న చిన్న పట్టణాలు, చిన్న చిన్న నగరాలు కూడా మరి మహానగరాలుగా అభివృద్ధి చెందడం వల్ల అక్కడ కొత్త కొత్త సమస్యలు ఏర్పడడం. సో ఆ రకంగా ప్రజల జీవన గమనంలో ఒకటే వివిధ రకమైనటువంటి మార్పులు రావడం అనేటువంటిది జరిగింది. మరి ఫ్రెంచ్ రెవల్యూషన్ ముఖ్యంగా కుటుంబ వ్యవస్థ పైన చాలా ప్రభావం చూపింది. ఏ రకంగా అంటే ఫ్యాక్టరీలలో చిన్నపిల్లలు, ఆడవాళ్ళు మరి వివిధ హోదాల లోపల పనిచేయడానికి ఫ్యాక్టరీలలో నియమించడం జరిగింది. దానివల్ల కుటుంబ సంబంధాల లోపల మరి చాలా మార్పులు రావడం జరిగింది. వంటింటికే పరిమితమైనటువంటి, ఇంటి పనులకే పరిమితమైనటువంటి స్త్రీలు, చిన్నపిల్లలు వీళ్ళు కూడా వర్క్ చేయడం వల్ల మరి సామాజిక అంతస్తు మరి వీళ్ళకి ఏ రకంగా ఆపాదించాలనేటువంటి విషయం పైన సామాజిక శాస్త్రవేత్తలు పలు రకాలుగా ఆలోచించడం అనేటువంటిది జరిగింది. సో ఇవన్నీ కూడా సమాజశాస్త్రం ఆవిర్భావానికి దోహదపడ్డాయి అనేటువంటి విషయాన్ని సామాజిక శాస్త్రవేత్తలు మనకు చెప్తా ఉన్నారు.